Hello, this is Angela with Parker's Permaculture. Before you watch this video, I hope that you will take a second and watch the accompanying House for Friday video that goes with it. I have been going through my parents' things as I sort through their house and get it ready to sell and settle their estate. And that has meant going through 56 years of documents. And my parents were very fastidious. They documented everything. They had paperwork and ledgers dating back to 1964. And I made a video for House for Friday where I talked about a certificate that was given to my mother when my dad was graduating from medical school. And it's really worth a read because you get to see a little window into how homemakers were viewed and wives were viewed in the late 1960s and early 1970s. It's pretty interesting. And today I want to have even more of a little window into something else, which is, pertinent to those of us that are parents, but pertinent to everybody that is interested in pursuing post-secondary education. And so I think it's an important topic to have as a regular video, not a House for a Friday video. So I'm looking through my parents' file boxes and in with all kinds of things I can just shred, like 56 years of tax returns from every place they've ever lived, documents on every house they've ever sold. My parents were in the Air Force, so a lot of moving, lots of houses, lots of turnover, receipts for almost everything they ever bought, it felt like. There were mixed in with those a lot of memorabilia and family documents, family history documents. So I couldn't just take everything to the shredder, right? I had to sort through every box. I ended up taking 38 boxes to the shredder of financial documents and other kind of sensitive stuff that couldn't just go in the recycle. I filled our 55-gallon recycle bin many times over. And then I managed to kind of salvage 2 boxes of family documents that I thought were worth saving. And in there was something that was just an absolute hoot. And the more I thought about it, I thought, well, this is worth a video because I think it's a real statement about some really valid criticisms of American society and economics here. And that plays into permaculture because permaculture is not gardening. I made a video about that recently. Permaculture is a design system for building resilient communities of people. And that includes our monetary system. It includes how we educate people. It includes the way that we compensate folks. And it includes inflation and the way that various expenses outpace inflation and therefore make society even less resilient and make our standard of our quality of life even lower as the decades go on here in America. And there was this little manila envelope shaped about like this. Maybe you can guess what might have been in it. My parents went to Earlham College. It is a Quaker school in Richmond, Indiana. I almost went there, ended up going to Grinnell instead. Literally the night before, I was trying to decide one way or the other. If I have to be honest, the reason that I chose Grinnell over Earlham is that I had a really, really toxic, abusive boyfriend at the time, and Grinnell was 9 hours away, I think, by car, and Earlham was 2.5 hours away from where he was going to college. And I thought, I need to get as far away from this boy as I can. Probably not the best judgment. Maybe we shouldn't let 18-year-olds make huge decisions that cost hundreds of thousands of dollars and will shape the course of their lives without a little bit more guidance and support. There it is. So my parents went to Earlham. My dad was a chemistry major. My mom was a major in basically home economics. And my mom became a social worker and my dad became a doctor. So they graduated in 1966. Okay, I need a sip of my beer before I can continue. Yes, I'm drinking beer in a Scotch glass. I don't care. Okay, here we go, y'all. In this little envelope, I found the canceled checks from every tuition check my mom ever paid to Earlham College. Wild. So let me show you an example. I will say that my mom's parents were not in any position to pay for my mom's college. And actually I think they maybe didn't approve of my mom going to college. Definitely not to the same college as my dad. So my mom had to pay her own way. So this check from August 26, 1963, so this is for the fall semester, Earlham College, $509. That included tuition, room and board, and all laundry services. $509. That is wild. You may think like, okay, Angela, go back in time and calculate, like what would $509 be in terms of like a percentage of your income? Or better yet, what would $509 be in today's money? In 2023 money, instead of 1963 money, it would be about $5,000 a semester for college. Okay, so that may seem reasonable, comparable to community college tuition today. Okay, I gummed that up a little bit. Tuition for our local community college is about $4,600 a year, plus an additional up to $15,000 a year for housing and food. However, if you look at what Earlham's actual tuition is today in 2023. So Earlham College today is $50,000 a year for tuition and another $15,000 a year for housing, approximately. Compare that to what my mom's expenses were. So we're looking at current cost for Earlhamites of $32,500 a semester, adjusted costs for what my mother was paying, $5,000 a semester. So this has me thinking a little bit about the very valid critiques of folks much younger than me. I'm 44 years old. When I went to Grinnell, I think it was $26,000 a year. Sorry for the split comparisons here, semesters versus year. So $13,000 a semester. So let's talk about some of the really valid criticisms. I don't use TikTok a lot. It is a format that doesn't really appeal to me that much, but in the evenings, my 18-year-old and my 20-year-old, when they're home, love to show me TikToks. B calls it newspaper clippings because my mom used to cut out newspaper clippings and mail them to us, or once they lived here, we would go to her house. She'd have a stack of newspaper clippings. Like, I have curated all of the things I think you would really enjoy reading. I'm going to hand you this stack of newspaper clippings. So B does that for members of our family. She goes through and basically saves a playlist of TikToks she thinks we will like, and at the end of the day at bedtime, she sits down and she plays them for us. A number of those TikToks are really important critiques of the amount that we charge for post-secondary education in America and how unsustainable it is and how the cost of higher education has rapidly outpaced our income, along with the cost of rent and the cost of food. And so what we're seeing is young folks who are saying, no flippin' way, like, this is not sustainable. This trajectory cannot continue. It's already untenable. And I know that, it's very easy for those of us who went to college in the 90s to sympathize. Because when we went to college, I went in 1997, we were told, don't think about how much it's costing you. College is all about the experience. Don't worry about the tab. Just take out loans and you'll pay them off later. What we didn't understand, and I think was not communicated to us from our parents, if our parents needed to take out loans, the boomers, and my parents were silent generation, but the boomers and silent generation, they needed to take out loans for college. Simple interest, easy to pay off. For us, compound interest. And so we're finding folks from my generation very much able to sympathize with younger folks because many folks my age still have college loans because they would pay for 10 years and they didn't even get to the principal yet. So after 10 years of payments, they may find they actually owe more than when they took out the loans. And so this kind of predatory system has really shaped the way younger folks look at college. My kids are looking at it and saying it's not sustainable. That's why Ruth is going to community college. Also, she is choosing to live at home and save on not having to have room and board somewhere. So if she went away, she would have the cost of the tuition and she would have the cost of room and board. If she lives at home and goes to community college where she's got scholarships, then it saves her taking out all of the debt that my generation has taken out. And for my kids, they view college very different. It's not about the fabulous experience. Don't worry about what you're majoring in or what kind of income that can, or profession that can translate into when you graduate. Don't worry about any of that stuff. Just enjoy the experience, especially for those of us that went to liberal arts schools. Enjoy the liberal arts experience. Don't think about the bill until later. My kids are like, what is my degree going to be? Is this an investment in my future that will pay off later with job security? retirement, healthcare if you're in America, because those are tied to jobs in America. And is this a worthwhile investment? So what my kids are doing is looking at college much less romantically and much more practically, because they can't afford the romantic experience. My generation couldn't afford the romantic experience either. We just didn't realize we just didn't realize we couldn't until we saw the bill, right? And so that has me thinking about permaculture. What do we do as a society when we need folks who are higher educated? I notice a lot of preppers and a lot of homeschoolers are just like, their answer to it is just like, eschew college altogether. No, don't worry about college, work a trade. That's well and good. Nothing wrong with having a vocation where you choose not to go to college. But the reality is that for most folks, a college degree translates into more earning potential. And the reality is that a lot of folks want to do something that requires a college degree or a graduate degree. And so just saying like, let's just not do college is not really realistic for a lot of people, especially when the answer is like, start your own business, which tends to require generational wealth and the help of mommy and daddy to get it going, right? And so there are valid reasons not to go to college, but there are super valid reasons for the younger generations who are looking at going into college or are in college right now to critique the system and say, this is not sustainable. This model is not built on resilience and sustainability. This will hurt our culture long term. It is hurting the livability and prosperity of our parents' generation, my generation, the Zennials and Millennials. And it is translating into us making really significant choices that will create issues for our society going forward in the future. So I don't know what the permaculture solution is to that. And please, if you go in the comments, I would love to hear your thoughts. I'm always interested in what people have to say. And looking at how much my mom paid for tuition in 1963, you know, back then you could have a manufacturing job, you could work in a factory. And, you know, my grandpa worked at Delco Remy after he left the farm. And you could work in a factory, you could buy a house, you could help your kids go to college. If you had to pay for your own college, you could pay it off in a few years. And you could afford a house, right? Now we're looking at kids who are seeing the projected future and seeing that they have a quality of life, a potential for prosperity, and a potential for security that is much lower than their grandparents, and for my generation, much lower than our parents. And that anxiety is really real, and it really permeates the way that we make choices as a society and the way we live our lives. And so I wonder what permaculture would say about that. Like, what would it look like if we designed a higher education system built on a framework of the 12 principles of permaculture? And, you know, honestly, I'm going to say I'm pretty ignorant of how a lot of European countries do their educational system. I'm pretty ignorant of how, I pick European because a lot of my viewers are in Europe, so it's not that I'm necessarily excluding folks who are from other countries, but a lot of my viewers are from Europe. So if you have insight on how are y'all doing it better than we are here in America? If you are, what does that look like? And what would that translate into a country of our size and our population here in America? What would it look like to remake the way that we do higher education in a way that benefits individuals, in a way that benefits households, in a way that benefits all of society? Because in permaculture, we're looking not at just the individual. We're looking at the ramifications for a whole society, because everything is connected, right? So if we do it right, when we have a more resilient society, households and individuals have a higher quality of life and a higher amount of security. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. So I don't know if I'm getting a little esoteric for everybody on this channel, but I appreciate your thoughtful comments. I can't confine permaculture to gardening. It doesn't work for me. After more than 20 years of trying to just say, okay, to folks who want to keep it limited to gardening, I realize that there is no way to do that, because nothing we do is in isolation. I want to be hopeful as a permaculturist that if we can utilize the tools, we can utilize the intelligence of our brains and our fantastic ability to see connections, we can create a more just and resilient society. Don't forget to click like and subscribe, and please check out the other ways you can support this channel down below. I'll be back really soon, and I would love to hear what you have to say. Okay, I'll be checking the comments soon.